the good Dr. Herman Carter. His lore details his connection to the infamous CIA mind control program, MKUltra, and the horrific mistreatment of its subjects. In a lot of ways, Dead by Daylight has created an exaggerated and comic villain inspired by these historical CIA goons. But I'd like to suggest there's actually one real-world individual that inspired the Doctor, and his name is Dr. Ewan Cameron. Dr. Cameron was also involved with the CIA in what was called MKUltra Sub-Project 68. Cameron's research looked into ways to erase patients' memories and then to reprogram their minds in a process called psychic driving. He experimented with electroshock therapy and paralyzing agents to do the mind wiping, and then used tape loops of white noise or simple repetitive statements to do the reprogramming. His use of electroshock therapy was not how it's sometimes used today, however, with patients instead being exposed to electroconvulsive therapy at 30 to 40 times the normal power. Patients would be subject to at times months-long sensory isolation and drug-induced comas. So you can see how perhaps this kind of history correlates with Dr. Carter in Dead by Daylight. But MKUltra was a wide program practiced in a great many locations throughout the world, so you might rightfully ask why this Doctor would be the inspiration. For me, the answer is location. Dr. Ewan Cameron was the founding director of the Allen Memorial Institute, a medical institute built inside the gutted mansion of its namesake, Hugh Allen. The imposing building was originally called Ravenscrag, but took its new name after 1940 when it was donated to the Royal Victoria Hospital. Obviously, the name fits in neatly with the Doctor's associated map, Larry's Memorial Institute, but to further cement the likely connection, the Allen Memorial Institute is also located in Montreal, the same location as BHVR Interactive's headquarters. In fact, it's so close to their headquarters, you could drive between the two locations in less than 15 minutes. Now, all this is not to say that there are no holes in my theory. Those of you well versed in DBD trivia will know that Dr. Carter was originally going to be known as Mu Yi, according to leftover files from development, and was likely going to have a Chinese ethnicity. A persistent theory suggests that the Doctor is based on a Yang Yongzin, a Chinese psychiatrist that practices experimental and highly controversial treatments for internet addiction, including electroshock therapy. The idea being that early in development, the Doctor might have been the anti-gaming mirror to the esports gamer Feng Min, which I won't deny makes sense. Although I couldn't find a lot of evidence online, it seems there was a poll done by BHVR to see what kind of killer their Chinese audience might want, and Yang Yongzin won that poll by a significant margin, although being a last-minute and unusual addition to some other mythological suggestions. Now, I contend that while there's definitely some bones to that theory, and that earlier in development it may well have been the inspiration for Dr. Carter, the version of the Doctor we got at release aligns more with Dr. Ewan Cameron than Yang Yongzin. BHVR is unlikely to officially sanction any inspiration that names a specific person, for obvious legal reasons, and at least in the case of Dr. Ewan Cameron, his living family has proven quite litigious. That said, if there's any Chinese viewers or anyone fluent in Chinese that sees this, I'd love to hear your thoughts and see what kind of confirmation was received in regards to that poll I mentioned. For me, the similarities between Dr. Herman Carter and Dr. Ewan Cameron are too much to be mere coincidence, and so while it may seem a little bit conspiratorial, it seems unlikely to me that at least someone at BHVR didn't make this connection. Regardless, the idea that there's a real human behind the monstrous Dr. Herman Carter makes for a very dark and grim thought indeed.